If you want to build a genuinely premium closing career, the kind where like clients are chasing you, not the other way around, there's only one thing you have to unlock, and that is trust at scale. You know, whether it's the closers in my program who go from making 3K a month to over 20K a month, or whether it's the closers who collect like over 100K in like 48 hours, every single result comes down to the same route. Not a better script, not a sharper objection handle. It's that the prospect decided to fully trust them before the close even started. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how that happens and how you can engineer it on every single call. So here's the framework that basically powers everything I teach, right? Call it the closer funnel, right? It's the journey a prospect goes through from the moment they first hear about the offer to the moment they hand over their credit card without hesitation. And most closers are losing the deal at stage 2 or 3 because they don't even know these stages exist. Okay, so there are 6 stages. Stage 1 is unaware. You know, they don't know the offer exists, completely cold. Stage 2 is aware. They've seen an ad, been referred, booked a call, they know something exists, but they don't quite trust it yet. Stage 3 is curious. They show up to the call, they're open, but the guard is up, right? They've been on sales calls before, they know how this usually goes. Stage 4 is interested. Something in the first few minutes of the call breaks the pattern, right? They weren't expecting it. The guard drops, they start talking more. Stage 5 is convinced. So they've told you more than they plan to, they've sold themselves on the problem, they believe you understand them better than they understand themselves, right? And stage 6 is committed, where the close is a formality, right? They've already decided, you're just kind of confirming the next step, right? Most closers, the ones stuck at like, you know, a 20% close rate, 25% close rate, whatever, are trying to jump prospects from stage 2 straight to stage 6. You know, they're pitching to someone who hasn't trusted them yet. Whereas the closers hitting over 70-80% close rate, making 20K, 30K a month, whatever, they understand that every stage has to be earned. And they have a system for earning each one, okay? So what does this actually look like on a real call? So here's what this actually looks like in practice. The prospect books in, they've been on, you know, maybe 5 calls this month for different offers. They're skeptical, they've heard the promises before, the guard is fully up before you've said a word. In the first 60 seconds, you need to do something they weren't expecting, not a trick or like a technique from a script, something that signals this is not the call that you were preparing for. Their brain recalibrates. Okay, that's stage 3 to 4, right? The critical faculty lowers. The real conversation can now begin. So this is what most closers miss, the recalibration mode, where the prospect shifts from defensive to open, okay? That doesn't happen by accident. It's engineered, okay? Like take Charlie, for example. Charlie had been closing for 2 years before we worked together. Technically competent, knew a script, had a decent offer, but she was stuck at like 3 to 5K a month for 18 months. When I pulled up her calls, I found it in the first 3 minutes every single time. She was so focused on running her process that she was skipping the recalibration entirely, moving the prospect from stage 2 straight to a pitch. And the guard never came down. We fixed that one thing. 5 weeks later, she made 25K, right? Close rate from 25% to over 70%. Not a new script, right? Just a different entry point into the funnel. Or like Inian making 10K within 60 days, right? Like he had zero closing background when we started working together. Month 1, 8K, day 60, over 10K. Not because I taught him a better handle for the price objection, because he learned how to move prospects through every stage of the funnel intentionally, instead of hoping they'd get there on their own. Right? Or Gershan, who closed 173K in 48 hours, right? Not revenue, that's like cash collected. Not revenue, that is cash collected. That's the value of deals he closed as a closer, applying this methodology on a client's offer. Same framework, same stages, scaled. Okay, so there's 4 forces that close without closing. So what actually moves a prospect through that funnel? What turns a skeptical stranger into somebody who closes themselves? It always comes down to the same 4 forces. If you can get a prospect to consistently feel these 4 things on a call, you will convert at a level most closers think is impossible. So force 1 is bullseye relatability. This is when the prospect feels like you've read their mind. Not just that you understand the problem, but that you understand their specific version of it. The thing they haven't said out loud to anyone. When a prospect feels that, they stop treating you like a salesperson, and they start treating you like someone who genuinely gets it. Force 2 is the internal script shift. So the prospect came in with a story why they can't make the decision, why it won't work for them, about why they've tried before and it failed. The best closers don't argue with that story. They help the prospect rewrite it in real time during the call. And when that shift happens, the prospect doesn't feel like they were sold to. They feel like they figured something out. Force 3, deep one-of-one expertise. The prospect has to believe you understand this territory better than almost anyone else they've spoken to. Not because you told them you're an expert, because you demonstrated it through the specificity of your questions and your diagnosis. Nobody closes with a closer that they don't trust. And trust isn't built through credentials, it's built through precision. Force 4 is vibe alignment, if that's what you want to call it, right? People will work with someone who's okay at the thing if they like them, and they'll walk away from someone technically brilliant if something feels off. Prospects don't just buy the outcome. They buy the person they're going to be working alongside for the next 3, 6, 12 months. The energy has to be right. Get all 4 of those operating in every call, and the close becomes a natural conclusion, not like a battle. So there's 6 shifts you need to make right now. Shift 1 is get brutally specific about what you're closing for. Most closers try to sound good to everyone on the call. That's the trap. The closers who build real trust get specific to the exact person in front of them, their specific fear, their specific past experience, their specific version of the problem. They stop making generic calls and make every call feel like it was built for that one person. Shift 2 is let the data from your lost deals tell you what to fix. So your lost deals are your best coaching material, right? Pull the last 20 calls where you didn't close, feed the transcripts into Claude, whatever you want to do, ask it to find the pattern in where the prospect disengaged. Within 5 minutes of reviewing a recording, I can tell you exactly where the ceiling is. 9 times out of 10, it's the same moment, and it's fixable in one session, right? Shift 3 is use non-obvious insights as pattern breaks. So the fastest way to earn the trust of a skeptical prospect is to actually just say something they've never heard before. That immediately rings true. It's not a script line, it's not a reframe they've heard from 3 other fucking closers. It feels like I had the Western Crown. Fucking gay, right? If you're still doing that, you're fucking gay, right? Something specific and unexpected that makes them lean forward. That's a pattern break. It's one of the 3 pillars of covert influence, and it's the number 1 thing that moves a prospect from stage 3 to stage 4 in under a minute, right? Shift 4 is build your conviction bank, right? Because like Benji made, in his first month working with me, he did over $28,000 in commissions, right? Not because he had the most polished like script, but because he had genuine, unshakable conviction in the offer he was closing. You cannot close with confidence on something you don't believe in. Know every case study, know every result, know every transformation the product has created. That conviction leaks into every call, whether you mean it to or not, which also means that if you don't have that conviction, that is going to leak into the call. Shift 5 is create connective tissue between calls. So the prospect who goes away to think about it is not lost. They're at like stage 4 or 5 in the funnel. They need one more touch point to reach 6. Most closers follow up with just checking in. That's not connective tissue. That's just noise, right? A follow-up that converts sends them something specific, a case study that mirrors the situation, a short piece of content that answers the exact objection they raised. That's the connective tissue that moves them from convinced to committed without a second like hard sell, okay? And lastly, shift number 6 is close from conviction, not desperation. The prospect can feel your energy before you say a word. If you're closing from a place of needing the deal, needing the commission, needing the month to work, they feel it. The guard goes up. The closers who close at 70 and 80% close rate, who do 20, 30K months, close from genuine certainty and curiosity. Not certainty they'll get the commission, certainty that the prospect's life will be better on the other side of the decision. That shift from closing from need to closing from certainty and curiosity is what I work on with every student before we touch a single word of their process. Because until that changes, like, nothing else fucking will. So now that you understand the closer funnel, the 4 forces and the 6 shifts, let me come back to the results. Okay? So we'll go back to Charlie, right? Like 3 or 4 programs before me, all scripts, all tactics. None of them touched what was actually wrong. We worked on the internal script first, applied the covert influence framework, reviewed her calls, and found the specific recalibration she was skipping. 5 weeks later, as I said, $25,000. Her actual words were like, I never actually believed in myself, now look at me, right? Benji, right, was a decent closer, right? Like, he was making anywhere from 12 to 15K per month. However, he was still skipping what's most important in the first 5 minutes. We fixed that. Next month, $28,000 in commission. Like, what more can I say? So if you're a closer watching this and you recognize yourself somewhere in that funnel, you know the numbers should be moving, but they're not. Like, I want to look at your specific situation. Okay, so send me a recording of one of your sales calls. I'll review it personally. I'll tell you exactly which stage you're losing the deal at, what's running underneath it, and what I'd fix first, right? It's like, it's free, right? If you want to work with me after, that's up to you, right? But it's more so just a straight diagnosis from someone who's done this themselves and done this with closer after closer after closer and seen the same result every fucking time. Link is in the description. Takes 2 minutes to apply. This is the smartest move you'll make in your closing career this year. The question is whether you're going to keep losing deals at stage 3 or fix the thing that's holding you back.